You know, there's been a huge source of contention amongst our staff team this week, so I need to make something really clear right now before we go any further. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And also, Home Alone, what? Like, how is that not a Christmas movie? There's literally a tree in the back picture. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway. So if we've not met before, my name's Dan. I'm the senior leader here at the church, and it's wonderful to have you with us this morning. Whatever your story, however you got here this morning, you are very welcome. Does anyone know where this is? Waterloo, well done, Peter. This is London Waterloo Station. This has the most platforms of any train station in London. There are 24 platforms at London Waterloo. For those of you who thought Manchester Piccadilly was bad, this is worse. 24 platforms. And it can be a scary place, particularly at rush hour. There's so many people walking around at pace. You know, those kind of people who walk when they're at rush hour? No looking, don't look anywhere where they're going. They've just got one goal, and that's to get to their train. And I remember as a small boy, probably 5 or 6, being stood in the middle of London Waterloo, surrounded by people going everywhere, moving all over the place. I was there on a day trip. Now, I say day trip because you may have noticed something about me. If you've not met me before, you may have noticed that I'm not natively Yorkshire. No, I know, it's shocking, isn't it? I'm from the south coast. I'm from a village called Rustington. Who booed that? That is not a controversial Christmas opinion. That is where I came from. Crikey. There's some discipleship issues to work on in the new year. I'm from a small village called Rustington, which is next to a slightly bigger town called Littlehampton, which is next to a bigger city called Brighton, which is probably the one you've heard of. And throughout my childhood, every day, my dad, from when I was born to about the age of 10 or 11, my dad would get a train and he'd go along the south coast, because this is the way the train goes, and then he'd go up from Brighton into London. It's about a 2-hour train journey, and he did it every morning and every evening. He got up early, and that was his commute. And he would arrive into London Waterloo Station, and he would walk across the road to work. You know when you see the New Year's Eve fireworks, you know there's a building with a clock projected onto it, the countdown? That's where my dad worked. So he would work in that building, and then at the end of the day, he'd walk across the road to London Waterloo, and he knew which platform to go to. He'd probably be one of those people moving at pace, and he would get the train home. He knew London like the back of his hand. He knew everywhere. He knew all the stations, the tube stops, which platforms to go to, etc. We live in a time, don't we, when there are loads of opinions. TV, social media, our friends, our work colleagues. We are completely bombarded with noise all day long. Noise like what we should look like, what we should eat, what's the best diet to have. And what's even more confusing now is that this noise is directed straight at us. Me and my wife were talking yesterday, and I said, have you seen this advert on Instagram? It's all over my Instagram feed. And she said, no. So quite why it's trying to get me to buy candles at this time of year, I don't know. But my Instagram feed bombarded by this candle. This is the best candle. This is the best. I don't want a candle. So we are bombarded with noise. We're bombarded with noise about what our life ambitions should be. We're told, earn money, buy a house, settle down, get a family. Or conversely to that, we're told, don't buy a house, live life, abandon the old way of thinking, become an influencer, you can do whatever you want. There's noise about whether there is or there isn't a meaning to life. A few years ago, we were told as a society that you can think and do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. You can do whatever you want, so long as it doesn't hurt anyone. But I think now we're realizing that that's not true, is it? That my decisions, every decision I make has an impact on the people around me. And so now we find ourselves in a more polarized society where we have to choose sides. We have to choose our politics. We have to choose who we want to hang out with. We have to choose our economic decisions. And even we have to make a decision. Are you for faith or are you not for faith? In amongst all this noise, how do we get clarity? How do we know what to listen for? This morning we've had several Bible readings, including 2 from the opening chapter of the Gospel according to John. At the beginning of the New Testament, which is the back third of your Bible, which is all about Jesus. It opens with these 4 eyewitness accounts called the Gospel. And there's a Gospel written by a man called John. And he said this in the passage we heard this morning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, does anyone know, kids particularly, does anyone know what John means when he calls something, or maybe somebody, the Word? Who's he referring to? Yes, at the back there. Jesus. Yes, absolutely. We get back up in this verse. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. He became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, the Son of God, Jesus, who came from the Father full of grace and full of truth. So the Word is the one who became flesh, the one of whom we've been hearing about this morning, about the nativity right in front of me, the stable. The Word is Jesus. Now, why might he be called the Word? Well, what do we use words for? It's not a trick question. What do we use words for? To communicate, to give a message. See if you can guess what I'm talking about here. I'm going to describe something for you. Kids particularly, shout out if you get this. It's yellow. It's curved. It grows on trees. Come on. And monkeys enjoying it. Exactly, it is a banana. My words describe what that fruit is like. You know what that fruit is like. We use words to describe what something is like. And this is why Jesus is described as the Word, because when we read about him, when we hear his voice on the pages of our Bible, when we see how he treated the poor, when we see how he responded to the children, we see what God is like. And we know, because we've read it today, that Jesus was there at the beginning, and he was with God, and he was God. Back to London Waterloo, I was stood with all the noise around me, and then my dad reaches down and takes my hand. My dad reaches down and takes my hand, and he says, "It's okay. I've been here before. I do this all the time. You can trust me." And we walk and we find our train. You know, this is what life with Jesus is like. Jesus has been the center of everything since the start. He's been this way before. He's walked amongst men. He knows what it feels like when people say things that hurt you. He knows what it feels like when you stub your toe. He knows what it feels like when that person doesn't want to hang out with you. He's been this way. And he knows you because he's seen you since your beginning. He's seen all your good stuff, all the stuff that you put on display for everyone else, and he's seen all the bad stuff that you really wish that no one knew about. He knows when you're full of confidence, when you're in your zone, and he knows when you're hiding and when you're scared. And in amongst all the noise, he reaches out his hand and he says, "I've been this way before. You can trust me." And he's here today reaching out that hand, offering to guide you, to walk with you, to bring purpose and hope to your life. And it doesn't mean it's always easy. You know, sometimes me and my dad missed the train. Sometimes one of those rude men walked into me. But we always got home. We always achieved our journey. He was always there holding my hand. Jesus will always be there. And all you have to do this morning is to make a decision. Do I want to live on my terms? Do I want to keep trying to do this thing the way that I have always done it, trying to work out the noise myself? Or do I want to give it all to him, to lift up my hand and walk with him? It says this at the end of that passage that Pamela read. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. That's the invitation that's open to us this morning. That's the invitation that's open to you this morning. And maybe for the first time, or maybe for the 500th time, there's an opportunity to reach up your hand and say, I trust you, God. And if that's you and you want to do that this morning, then at the end of our time together, I'm going to be over here, and I'd love to talk to you more about that. And we'll have some people who will pray for you as well. Or maybe you just think, maybe this morning's just provoked a little bit more interest, and you think, I've got more questions to ask. Well, then I want to invite you. In January, we're starting an Alpha course where you can come and find out more. You can come and ask those questions that you think are the simplest questions in the world or the most complicated questions in the world. There's no stupid question to ask on Alpha. You can come and you can ask them. But the invitation this morning is to come to the one, to reach out your hand to the one who came close. At Christmas, we use this word quite a lot, Emmanuel. You'll hear it in a load of carols. It simply means God with us. God is with you and he is for you. Amen.